So I want to dive into how my tips and techniques, my personal strategies in terms of boosting that sense of desire to embrace inclusive behaviors. I do start first with just the business case. I talked a little bit about that when I covered how do I create the awareness. At this rate, there is like so much data out there making the case for why inclusion and belonging is good for employee well-being, better engagement, collaboration that leads to better decision making and outcomes, recruiting, retention, all that good stuff. It's really important to lay the case for that, but I'm not going to cover that today. What I want to do is jump straight to the desire piece. So building the business case is really good, but it really speaks to more of the analytical side of what's good for business and the head. I think to get that desire, you got to pull on those emotional strings a little bit and speak to the heart. So I have a lot of questions, like self-reflection questions that I pose to the leader to get them to think about them as a leader, their aspirations as leaders. What does leadership mean for them to make that more emotional case? I'm not going to share with you all of my questions. I don't want to give away all of my trade secrets, but I am going to share the question that I think works better than most of the time. So the one reflection question that I want to share with all of you that I pose to leaders, if I'm doing like a workshop, for example, is reflect on a leader who made you feel like you matter, who really inspired you, who got you, who made you feel that anything was possible and you felt brave to take risks. Who was that leader and what characteristics or behaviors made them stand out? So I pose this question because most people have one person that comes to mind. And frankly, when they think about that person, they go to a real happy place. It's joyful, right? To reflect on those memories and to think about someone who really poured themselves into you and what that felt like and what it meant for you. It usually leads to a lot of storytelling. Sometimes I gotta like cut it off and be like, okay, we gotta move on here because people want to share about the leader that was really impactful to them. So it really sparks talking about and positioning inclusive leadership from a place of inspiration, also from a place that's familiar. And it also helps leaders sort of tap into, they can personally feel and recall the transformative power of inclusive leadership. So it doesn't feel like an abstract concept. It immediately felt that emotional connection. So I pose that question, people really think about it. Then I also ask them, so, how about you? And if I were to pose this question to members of your team, would their answer be you? To what extent are you being that kind of leader that was so impactful in your own life? And what would it take for you to be able to be that kind of leader more to more people and more consistently? Is that something that you would want to be able to do? And who's going to say no to that? And so that's really a great way to, again, connect with someone emotionally, speak to the heart, and spark that desire to want to step up their leadership so they can be exceptional leaders, sort of channeling the exceptional leader that they had in mind.